this next video, we're going to start a bit of a format with, let's get some development in, try to find the best moves as we're going along once we've reached our hippo structure, then analyze the game. So, we've got black, and I like starting with g6 in this case when the d-pawn is moved, because very early you could see this move like bishop d2 or bishop f4, which leaves the b-pawn weak. This is a theme that you need to be constantly looking for throughout the lines. Well, they go c3 here. Okay, well, let's continue with our hippo. e6. And I can't play b6, and you shouldn't be focusing too much on getting your structure because you don't want to be the unlucky, I was going to say recipient. Yeah, the unlucky recipient of a loss is what's going to happen if you're dropping rooks like this. So let's see how I handled the position in this 1 minute game. Played knight e7. And if they would have played something like knight f3, b6 still makes me nervous because of the potential of this knight moving for discoveries on our rook. You can very easily go d5 and then follow up with b6 and finish your development this way for a hippo structure. In the game, the opponent played e4, which allows the completion of the structure. Knight d4, we castled, and we've got our ideal setup. And here I want you to take time and think. This was a game against a 2200 Lichess player, and it shows that even very strong, competent players will make terrible moves out of the opening. I feel like this is an awkward place for the knight to be. I mean, where can it go, really? And for that reason, I came up with a plan to bother this knight. What was my plan? a5. And my opponent wanted the center, but what's the problem with that move? Where's the b3 knight going? a4. And the rest is just a cleanup job here. But this is a good point to ask, which pawn break should we be looking at here? f5, e5, d5, or c5? Because this is the question once we get to the point where we can attack. Well, f5 seems weakening to our king. We're up material, so we're looking to trade down. c5, it could potentially be weakening of our pawn structure. I went with e5. It's the idea that if you let it sit, I'm going to take. And if you push by, my knight is offering to make a trade with you. And we can follow up with the locked center with f5. So in this next one, we're going to be taking a look at, I attack the pawn early, get our double fianchetto, and when we see a knight or bishop on b5 or g5, we should have that reaction a6 go away. I play bishop g7 and then a6. 1 minute games after all and all that. Well, the potential of this being weak, no, none of that. e6, we stop it. Now d6. Ooh, an opportunity to lock the center. We'll do it and gain time on the bishop. Now when the center is locked, we're supposed to play on the wings. Where's our natural break? c5. Takes. We learned previously, this case we don't have the option to take with a knight, but taking with a pawn. Usually keeping the pawns side by side gives options to attack with. And the opponent played bishop a4 check. So what is the best move here for black? Because we have a lot of ways to get out check. Move the king, but we lose castling privileges. Move the knight, we get development, but the knight's pinned. Move the bishop, attack his bishop, and say, isn't this my bad bishop? Yes, because it's looking at our pawn that's stuck in the center. So bishop c6, would you like to trade with me? He says, sure. And now we get optimal development and 2 attackers on this e-pawn. The opponent plays a3 for some reason, I have no idea what. I didn't take the free pawn because I assumed rook e1 or something and I was pre-moving. He goes b4, and now I already see the potential of tactics here. So I take on e5, my opponent takes back, and not focusing on his weak knight, he played pawn takes, and what's the problem? We can snatch that knight, and it's not going to go much further than that. So let's take a look at a Jobava London setup and an ensuing tactic. So I get this situation. Oh, goodness. The bishop and the knight are hitting c7. Whatever shall we do? d6. And after e3, do we like having knights on b5, g5, bishops? No, we don't. Kick them away and get good play. And the opponent brings the bishop out. What is the problem with this position? If you immediately saw bishop takes g2, you're on the right track with playing the hippo, and we get free development. Now, our last example game we're going to be taking a look at is, in this video, is a bit more lengthy, but instructive. And it is in a London system. And the London system, it's very solid, much like the hippo. And our opponent should, in this position, go for h3 and stay flexible, a nice London system move. We can play for e5 to tempo the bishop, and after castling, I move the knight out of the way, and before I play f5, very important, I want to stop the idea of knight g5. So I'm going to go h6 first, and then play f5 with kingside expansion. Even though the center is not locked, we can play this here. In the main game, though, white played b4, and this already is a move which is quite bad. And I played a quick move here, but much stronger. Knight d5, hit the bishop and the weak c-pawn, so you're going to be capturing the bishop pair in the open position in the event of a natural move like that. After b4, I played castles, a4. I don't want the opponent getting too much space, so I'm going to play a5. And they gifted me free development here. You have isolated your pawn on the a file and developed my rook for me. How kind. Now after c4, I go, you know, since you vacated that square for my rook, my queen can come here, which will apply more pressure there, and on the long diagonal. What a helpful opponent. They go h4, and with this queen-bishop battery, I want to start moving some pieces and attacking. So I hit in the center. Takes. And I very well could take with the pawn, but I like taking with the knight. Big threats. They took with the knight. Do I want to trade my strong bishop? No. Take with the pawn. Now, what's changed? We moved the knight. Why did I put my queen on a8 earlier? Free pawn. Now, this is just fishing for a quick win. And, of course, my opponent stopped it. But we're up material, right? So we should be looking to trade down. So I bring my queen here in the event the knight moves. I can trade queens. First, I decide to defend my c-pawn and keep my rook flexible. The opponent helps out. And now we're focused on the pawn on a5. We have better here, though, than just simply capturing. What is it? Principle of two weaknesses. And went up material, trade down, and I go, please continue to trade with me. And life becomes very easy with bishop e6. The c-pawn falls, and the game is over shortly thereafter. So again, I'm hoping that you're enjoying this Hippo Revisited series. If you are, hit that like button if you haven't subscribed, and that thumbs up. Thanks.